All right, hey people, today's April 21st, 2022. It's about 5:20 a.m. My name's Chris Lucas. I got a website called fishingfortruth.com. I'm on YouTube as Chris Lucas, also Chris Lucas Fishing for Truth. And then I got a channel called Protestant View. And on Odysee, I'm Fishing for Truth. That's where you can find all of my work for the past since 2008, I think, or earlier than that, maybe earlier than that. Yeah, and I've already had like 10 channels deleted, so that's on YouTube. So that's why you're not going to find a lot of my stuff on YouTube. But anyway, so let me just kind of get right to it. I see a lot of these videos going around, and I just first want to say I really like this guy, Off Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian. I mean, for the most part, like I think his news when he does like news almost every day, like live news, and I think it's pretty good, to be honest. I think he does a really good job. And I like a lot of his takes, and I guess how he kind of perceives things. The only thing that kind of gets me, and this gets me with everybody, and this is just Christianity overall. And I hope people please give this a minute. Because I know people are going to be real quick to be like they know it all, they heard it all, and you haven't. You really haven't. There's a reason why this world's falling apart, and it starts with the churches. Let me just tell you something. 400 years ago, almost everybody knew who the Antichrist was. Everybody, almost all the Christians knew who the Antichrist was. They said it was the. Do you know who everyone said was the Antichrist 400 years ago? They all said the Pope. Now, these are people. Think about this, and before you just turn off the show, think about this for a second, because this is going to really help you. I think that was a very special movement, that Reformation movement. Okay, and because basically, you got to think at the time these were very learned men, which is kind of rare for that day. I mean, people take the education we have at our fingertips today for granted, but back then it was real hard to get a hold of books. Like, that was not an easy thing to get a hold of. So you had these, and so a learned person was a rarity, let alone someone who spoke 7 different languages and things like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. And just keep in mind what a miracle it must have been for God to pull a group of people together to create the Bible, especially under the threat of torture. I mean, just think about some of the torture that went on back then. Let me just kind of just to give you a quick reminder, of all these things they would do to people, right? I mean, just a real quick reminder. I mean, this isn't good stuff, right? Now, just think, you're worried about things like all this kind of stuff being used on you. I mean, that's a possibility. You talk bad about the Catholic Church, you're going to have all, and think about how crazy this is. Someone actually sat there and built this, knowing that you're going to use it on a person, because there's no other thing that can be used for except for torture. So it's like they knew, right? Now, okay, these people came together. These learned men risked their lives to come together and bring you the Bible and put together the Geneva Bible, right? To me, that alone is pretty miraculous. That many learned men could get together, let alone under the threat of death and torture, and would still produce this. And so when I say check out the footnotes, this isn't like some kind of tiny little like this is just somebody's opinion, like they're not under a threat. No. These people were under severe threat. They're very learned men under severe threat of something happening to them, and they decide to put these footnotes in there that help you understand the Bible, and it actually helps you understand. And these aren't just like their thoughts; they studied a lot of Christian history, so it's kind of like it's like they're drawing upon past Christian history, and then they're also giving you the Bible. And when they translate the Hebrew, part of the thing is some of the meaning of the words can get lost in translation because we don't have quite the English equivalent. So sometimes these footnotes help you understand kind of like the poetic meaning of the language, which these guys probably understood a little bit better than us. So I'm not saying that the footnotes are perfect, but keep in mind that these people, um, like it wasn't the friendliest of times when they wrote this. So it's not like the guy today that's just willy nilly interpreting the Bible. So I think basically what I'm saying is let's give let's give someone that's willing to die and willing to suffer severe torture and also is a very educated people. Let's kind of like when we're weighing like, oh, my Sunday preacher that's living pretty fat, and there's no threat to really to him. There might even be gain, if he gives us a false doctrine or false interpretation. Whereas, these guys, it's like, what do they got to gain? They got a lot to lose because, when they're calling the Pope the Antichrist, I think you got a lot to lose. And so, and you got to think this is a book that they were trying to ban because, and it happened to be because of the footnotes. Now, with that in mind, so 400 years ago, everyone knew that was the Antichrist. Why don't people know that today? That the Pope's the Antichrist, the man of sin, the son of perdition. Yes, the Antichrist. The seat of the papacy is the Antichrist. And almost every Christian 400 years ago would have told you that. Most Christians 200 years would have told you that. But what happened, to change all that, to start to change all that? Well, there was this thing called the Counter Reformation, started by the Jesuits. That was their primary goal, was to counter the Reformation. One of the things the Jesuits came up with is this thing called futurism. Okay? So see, when you think you might not, you're not trying to deceive people. If the Antichrist church, which is the Catholic Church, they are the great whore. If the church of the Antichrist, which the Pope rules over and runs, if that church is coming up with doctrines to deceive you, to make you think, oh no, the Antichrist is not me, the Pope, it's some future figure. But what you do is you have your Jesuits infiltrate the churches, disguise themselves, try to circulate this new doctrine or new doctrines. And what they do is they try to funnel that into the churches. And then suddenly over time, well, I got this new doctrine. It's the Pope's not the Antichrist. It's some future figure. It's to take the eyes off the Pope and put them on some future figure like Donald Trump, like Obama, like Gorbachev. I don't know if people remember this. Let me just kind of bring this up real quick. Because some younger people might not remember this guy. But okay, so in the 1980s, that's because I was born in 1974, and I grew up in the 80s, and I remember being like 6, 7, 8 years old, and it's like, this is the Antichrist. I'm like, whoa, why? He's got a mark on his head. Look, Chris, he's talking about peace. We got to watch out for him. And they were telling this to everybody, all the churches, be scared of this guy. And it's like, that's another thing about today, people blaming Putin, saying Putin's Gog and Magog, and Putin's the Antichrist. And it's like people don't learn, from these false prophets, or from these false teachers. It's like, you're believing all this Jesuit garbage is what you're doing, which is doctrines of the Pope. So now you're believing a lie. Now you're kind of easing back into a delusion. So because that's not reality. See, reality is this guy was not the Antichrist. Putin's not the Antichrist. Trump's not the Antichrist. This is reality. Now, people can go into that delusion if they want to believe it. But reality is, these guys are not the Antichrist. No matter, they're deceiving people. I've heard this about Michael Jackson. I heard this about Donald Trump. I heard this about everybody. And I know there's some weird things around Donald Trump. He had this one. Let me just kind of play this one video. It was a little interesting that he posted. It will have English words in a second. If the whole world turned against us and only Micronesia is rooting for us, when the stars don't fish my head up, Marlene, don't you worry, Trump exists. Supercom is Jerusalem's green. Supercom to the sky in the ring. Hallelujah, from the city of Zion, for our loving fight like a lion. Okay, so it's just gonna go back into that, but I thought that was kind of trippy and weird. So I mean, I'm not like
Hello, everybody. This is Paul from Off Grid Desert.
So I think Paul's posts a lot of interesting things. I think that this stuff's interesting that he's posting. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just not. The whole Trump thing is. It's like, I understand people are making all these things, saying all these things about him, but he's just not the Antichrist. This is just not what was biblically understood, by the reformers. And you got to think, just think about, like I said, just think about how special that Reformation was, that brought people out of all that Catholicism, that false religion of the great whore, brought them out of it under the threat of torture and death. The torture is more scary though. But one thing I do want to get go to is like, okay, now at the beginning of this I said, like, these were learned men, and I really feel like the Spirit of God helped to bring them together. And I really believe that there was something special about these footnotes. And I'm not saying they're perfect, but I'm just saying that when you're weighing your Sunday preacher's opinion, who never faced the threat of death, might just be preaching to you to get you in the church and to get money. Maybe he just wants an easy life, like most of these TV preachers, right? But these guys, there was a lot more at stake for them. And so I kind of weigh what they have to say heavier than I might weigh my friend. And no matter how educated I might think of all these other people I know, I'm going to always start here first, because this is kind of like the beginning of of to me, of like some great movement for God to pull people out of this this evil church, the church of Satan, basically. But see, one thing people will teach today, and see, he did recommend some guy named, what was his name? Yeah, here it is, Leland Jones. Now I was listening to this. I just want to play just about 10 seconds of this.
The confirming of the covenant for 1 year. We know that's what it says in Daniel 9, verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant, meaning Messiah shall confirm the covenant 1 week. A week is a year. And this appears to be the beginning of that week, the beginning of that year that would conclude on the first day of the 11th month in the fourth.
Okay, first of all, I have no idea what this guy's kind of like he didn't really make sense with the statement, but he's saying like right now or whenever he's doing this video, this would be the beginning of that 1 week. And it's like, well, so you got all these people that are telling you about this future Antichrist, right? Like that they're waiting for the 70th week of Daniel to be fulfilled. Now, in their minds, 400, now the 70 weeks, it's supposed to be like, okay, so a week has 7 days in it, right? So 7 times 70 would be 490, right? So that's 490 prophetic years. Okay, basically what most of these people are teaching is that 483 consecutive years got fulfilled, and then a pause button got hit, and we're waiting for that 70th week to be fulfilled. And it's been over 2,000 years, and we're still waiting for that 70th week to be fulfilled. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Like, where have you seen that ever else in prophecy where God hits a pause button, you got to wait 2,000 years for the next consecutive years to be fulfilled? But see, what I'm saying is, like, if you just would go and before you run and go, oh man, that sounds so good, if you just kind of go back to the Geneva Bible and see what these people had to say, these people that risked their lives to write what they wrote, and you'll see that here, I'll just read it real quick. So Daniel 9:27 says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of that week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of the abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Now, what some of them are saying is that this has to do with the Antichrist. And so before we listen to our Sunday preacher that says that, let's see what, these guys that helped start the Reformation and help bring us the Bible, what they had to say. Okay, so it says, by the preaching of the gospel, he confirmed the promise first to the Jews and after to the Gentiles. Okay, so that's AC. So and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. So that's what they're saying that means. Christ accomplished this by his death. So you see these notes right here. It says AD. So go up here. So it says Christ accomplished this by his death and resurrection. What was that again? Okay. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So that's Christ causing the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, meaning that Jerusalem and the sanctuary shall be utterly destroyed for their rebellion against God, and that their adultery, or as some read, that the plague shall be so great that they shall be astonished at them, which means astonished. So, meaning that Jerusalem and the sanctuary shall utterly be destroyed for the rebellion against God. And that's what, and for the overspreading of the abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So all that stuff's already been fulfilled. That was fulfilled when Jesus came here. So 70th week's already fulfilled. We got all these like odd teachings going on, and that's why you got to get that third temple built because Jesus didn't fulfill this yet. And see, the one channel I'll recommend just for this one particular subject would be Joggler66, and he's got this playlist which I did put in my information box on the videos, or description box, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, it's called Exploding the Israel Deception. And I'll just kind of play this one part where he's talking about Daniel 9:27. And this would be Tom Freeze. And now Joggler is this guy named Jorg. I think his name is Jorg Gleason or Gleesh. I can't remember his last name. I know it's Jorg. He's from Germany. And then Thomas Freeze, he's from America. But anyway, I'll let Thomas Freeze talk
about who the Antichrist is. A historicist won't bat an eye. If you ask a historicist who the Antichrist is, he will within an instant tell you the papacy. The papacy is, was, and always will be the Antichrist of Scripture, history, and prophecy. You see how easy that flows off my tongue? Because I've believed it and I've taught it for decades. Why? Because I am, like the people that we've been studying, the saints of God throughout the centuries. I believe the same thing that they believe. I believe that the 70th week of Daniel was fulfilled by Jesus, Messiah the Prince that shall come of Daniel's prophecy. The 70th week of Daniel was fulfilled by none other than Jesus Christ and his 7-year ministry upon the earth. That 7-year ministry was the 70th week of Daniel. Is finished. And the New Testament is the unimpeachable historical account of everything that took place during Christ's 70th prophetic week. And it is impeachable. No one can challenge the evidence that is given in plain English throughout the New Testament, proving proof positive, the most infallible, the most detailed written record of the 70th week of Daniel. That's what is the New Testament. Okay? Daniel prophesied a thing called the 70 weeks of Daniel. And in that 70th and final week, Messiah the Prince would cause the sacrifices and oblations to cease. He would confirm the covenant that God made with Abraham. Okay? He would redeem us of our sins. He would put an end of sin, make reconciliation for iniquity. He did all of those things, and they are accounted for item by item by at least 3 witnesses throughout the entire New Testament. That's the very purpose for the writing of the New Testament, to end any potential dispute about when the 70th week of Daniel was fulfilled. You cannot read the New Testament and not conclude that Jesus fulfilled the 70th week of Daniel, just like Daniel prophesied.
Okay, so if anyone wants to watch all that, I got it up on my screen. The particular video I was just playing, I got the playlist in the description box on Odysee and YouTube. So I just think that's really important because a lot of churches today aren't teaching that. And that's part of the problem why you see the whole world the way it is. See, the whole world is wandering after the beast. The whole world is bowing before the Antichrist. I mean, you can see kings, rulers, businessmen, everybody, they're bowing to the Antichrist. This guy is the Antichrist. And the reason why, the whole reason why the world's the way it is because the world's so blind. They don't even understand. They're worried about a mark of the beast. But yet, here you got Trump. He'll bow to the Antichrist. Obama bow to the Antichrist. But you're worried about a mark of the beast. You got your Senate. When the Pope came to visit the Senate a few years ago. Well, maybe I can bring that video up. Pope visiting Senate.
What?
But our address is Congress. That's it. But see, look at this. See, now I want you to think about something. When this nation was founded, it was 98% Protestant. And there is no way, and like they even thought about writing rules to keep Catholics out of office. In fact, they did have those rules in certain states, and Catholics would lie, and they would lie about being Catholic in order to still get into office and things like that. But our founding fathers would probably like, or at least like the early Christians who came to this country, they like this would like blow their minds that this nation has become like this, that they would sit there and look at these people just clapping, hey, it's the Antichrist, whoa, yeah, man, the Antichrist is here. See, this is why America is, and the whole world is at the point it's at. I mean, all your leadership, all your representatives that you go and vote for, you're worried about a mark of the beast. You went and voted for people that are clapping for the Antichrist. And when I go out and I try to run for office and things, and it's like I don't get support. I mean, really, when I'm talking like this, and I'm one of the people talking like this, trying to run for office, I would think that people should like do everything to try to support me, like and encourage me, like, oh man, Chris, this is great. You know, we need someone, like, even if like one voice, just to put these people like on the spotlight, you know, on the spot. And I know you people go, oh, you get killed. Well, you know what? That happens. You know, when you're an honest person, that stuff might happen. Reformers had to face that. Everybody, you know, a lot of true Christians have to face that. You know, I mean, like, so what? Okay, like that wasn't really my concern. You know, it's like to me, to be honest, it's like, did I, you know, it's like I mainly was trying to run out of duty. Like the work it takes, it's like I can do what I would like to do, but I'm working a job 70 hours a week. You know, I got 2 kids. It's really hard, especially when, you know, it's like you're not getting the support and backing. It's like, but I mean, if this nation wasn't so messed up and so lost and blind, you'd be like, oh wow, you know, we need someone, you know, with a Protestant voice that's going to actually call this out. You know, but now, see, this is why America's going, like, I mean, just look at all that clapping for the Antichrist. Oh, it's the Antichrist this year. She's got that big smile on her face. All these people smiling. Some people are even crying. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to meet the Antichrist. I mean, that's the problem. That's the whole problem with America. You know what? Like, I mean, honestly, people today, like, if most Christians just knew what they knew 400 years ago, like, oh, that's the Antichrist. They'd be asking their representatives, hey, I want to know more about you. You know, how do you feel about this? Like, you know, I ask Mike Braun, you know, I'm like, hey, Mike, why don't you come? He's like one of our senators. I'm like, hey, Mike, me and about 100 other Protestant church leaders want to meet you and talk to you about a question. Doesn't he want to talk close? He's supposed to be a close race that he's not even supposed to be able to win, supposedly. I said he was going to win anyway, just from the way they were trying to build him up, like he's this underdog and all this. He wasn't never an underdog. He was always their pick. I knew this from the start. But anyway, you know, Mike would not meet us. I tried calling him, and it's like he doesn't respond. And what is that reasoning? What it is he doesn't want to deal with Protestants. He doesn't care about a Protestant concern. When I was saying, hey, you know, Amy Coney Barrett, do we really need a third Catholic picked by Trump? I mean, I said, you know what? They keep going with all this gun control stuff. And like, you know, like, and I said she was already pro lockdown. She already sided with the lockdowns. I don't want her in office, but I said, I know because you're Catholic, Mike Braun, that you're going to wind up supporting this pick anyway, even though she's got a terrible record. But I said I'd still like to have a response back from you, and he wouldn't respond back. And the thing is, it's like, she was one of the ones that tried to uphold the mandates, the vaccine mandates for the college kids. And it's like, see, part of the problem is if you people would just wake up and understood who the real Antichrist was, you would be like, oh, these people are bowing to him. These people go to the Antichrist church. Maybe we shouldn't vote for him. I mean, but see, when we're pointing to people like Trump and everything, I think what you're doing is you're blinding people to the real problem. And I mean, and to me, this is a reflection, of what the world really is like. One man can con some people, but it's like we're talking about this is a religious system. Okay, like the Pope's running around with a hat of Dagon. Now, some people don't even know what Dagon is. Dagon was a fish god. But what group of people had Dagon as their god? Let's see here. Do we remember the story of David and Goliath? Okay, so we know who David's God was, the God of Israel, Yahweh. So, or the God of the Bible. But who was Goliath's God? Okay, let's see here. Goliath was a Philistine, and their God was Dagon. And it just so happens to be that the Pope wears the Dagon hat. And it just seems like the whole David and Goliath story is like, gosh, just like a real contrast of here's the people of God, and here's the people of the Antichrist. Like the arch enemy, basically, is what I should say. Or maybe the other way was fine. But anyway, so I just find it really interesting that, you have that contrast with David and Goliath. And then in today's world, we have the Christians, and then we got the Catholic Church. And here's this Catholic Church, which is basically the Antichrist, with the Dagon hat. And anyway, I basically think I don't want to make this video too long. It's already 30 minutes. So, my basic thing is I really think at the core of the issues of what's going on, it's that we have gotten so far away from the Bible. We have strayed so far away from sound doctrine, teaching things like Gog Magog is Putin and Russia, and buying into all that stuff, and then just having all this irrational hate, unfounded hate towards Putin. Like, oh my, I mean, this is a country, Putin and Russia. Here's a country that doesn't have gay parades, doesn't have abortion up to birth like America does, but yet they're evil. Right. Oh my gosh, these godless people. But yeah, we're so godly. We got gay parades. We got, gay officials. We got offering kids like hormone pills before they can even make that decision. We can't even decide whether whether it's a boy or a girl when this kid's born. Right. And it's like, Russia can. We can't. But yeah, we're the bad nation. They're the bad nation, and we're the good guys, because we're all about what? Freedom to be as evil as you want, but you can't be as good as you want. You can't speak truth, get censored. Over in Russia, though, it doesn't look like they have that kind of problem. But here, it's like your media, it's two fixed ways. And you got that false left-right paradigm, which the Catholic Church controls. You ever here's I know one really good point I do want to make before I close this up. Made this on other shows. There's this book called Pope or President. It was written in 1859. And on page 246 to 248, if you ever want to learn who took the Bible out of public schools, now think about this. I don't know how you can get more antichrist except for taking Bibles out of school. You're setting people on fire for putting the Bible in English so they can understand it. You'll torture people and come after them if they just even make copies of the Bible without your permission. That's what the Catholic Church has done. And now, you take the Bible out of public schools. I can't have little kids reading it. And it was the Catholic Church that did that. And I'll just skip down. I'm not going to read all this. I mean, but the whole section's important. But I'll just skip down to the bottom paragraph of page 247. And this book is by Delisser, R.L. Delisser. Anyway, it says, "We come now to the war on God's holy word by its expulsion from public and free schools of this country," meaning America. In 1841, Bishop Hughes, who's the Bishop of New York, Catholic Bishop of New York, in effect, offered the Roman Catholic vote for sale at Carroll Hall in the city of New York if the Bible, I should probably blow this up a little bit, if the Bible would be excluded from common schools. Of this movement, the New York Herald of June 20th, 1854 says, "The operations of Bishop Hughes on the school question caused the nomination of a Catholic ticket for Senate and Assembly and had the effect to cause divisions between Americans and adopted citizens at Tammany Hall." That would be your Roman Catholics coming in. Thus, the Herald ascribes to Bishop Hughes the first church movement in the political affairs of our country by introducing religion into the arena of politics and nominating a Catholic ticket for the Senate and Assembly on the school question. Let every Protestant and patriot remember this fact. 38 schools in the city of New York alone abolished the Bible, and the commissioners were appointed to expunge from the pages of school books all the facts of history which were displeasing to the papal system. Books so mutilated and defaced with black can now be seen at the Bible House in that city. Oops. Okay, it can be seen at the Bible House in the city. This Bible expulsion from schools began by the Archbishop in the New York legislature, Bishop Hughes, was followed by a similar effort in the McClintock bill in Pennsylvania. 9 states of the Union has made the attempt to expel the Bible from schools, and in California they have been successful. So I'll just kind of stop it there. So I just want you to know, it's been the papacy that's been attacking America from the start. I mean, do people even know that the papacy blew Abraham Lincoln's brains out? That's in a book. It's called Rome's Responsibility for the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, written in 1897 by Brigadier General Thomas Harris, who oversaw the trial of the co-conspirators. And he said in this book, there's enough evidence to convict the Pope of being behind the assassination. And in the book 50 Years in the Church of Rome, written by Charles Chinnicky, a Catholic priest Lincoln once helped, and later on he left the Catholic Church. But in his book, he's got this quote from Lincoln, and Lincoln says, "This war would have never been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that our land is now reddened with the blood of her most noblest sons." So Lincoln called out the popery. You can go further back to Samuel Morse, the guy who invented Morse code. He wrote a book called a Foreign Conspiracy Against the Liberties of the United States of America. That's a long title, I know. But and he was warning about the Vatican takeover. Let's see here. Okay, all the people behind the abolitionist movement, the movement to free the slaves, they were all Protestants, and they were all speaking against the Pope. Same way I do, speaking against the Pope. And not only that, what a lot of people don't understand is that the reason why one of the ways the Protestant movement got gained a lot of steam was when Elijah Lovejoy was pushing for the for slaves to be free, and 5,000 a mob of like 5,000 Catholics stormed his printing press and killed him. So see, they're not really all for all this like freedom. That's kind of like the side they took. It's like if you look at things like Operation Gladio, who was behind that? Who was behind helping the Nazis get out of out of Germany? Ever heard of like the Vatican rat line? See, it's like that's my whole thing about calling Trump the Antichrist or Obama the Antichrist, Michael Jackson, Gorbachev, any of these people. It's like that's not who the people who. That's not like really who like the early church and the reformers called the Antichrist. They called one office. It's the seat of the papacy. It's whoever's in that seat. That is the Antichrist, the man of sin, the son of perdition. And I'll leave off by reading one thing. I thought this was pretty good. This is in the Geneva Bible, in the footnotes. If you go to Revelations 13, I'm just going to kind of read some of the footnotes in it. It says, contrary to that which God of old commanded should be written in the headpiece of the high priest, that is, Sanctitas Jehovah, holiness unto the Lord. The name of blasphemy imposed by the dragon is, as I think, that which St. Paul saith in chapter 2 of his second epistle to Thessalonians, verse 4. He sitteth as God and boasteth himself to be God. For this name of blasphemy, both the Roman emperors did then challenge unto themselves, as Suetonius and Dion do report of Caligula and Domitian, and after them the popes of Rome did with full mouth profess the same of themselves, when they challenged unto themselves sovereignty and holy things, of which kind sayings in the 6th book of the Decretals, the Clementines, and the Extravagants are very full. For these men were not content with that which Anglicus wrote in his Poetria. The beginnings whereof is Papa Stupor Mundi, the Pope is the wonder of the world, nec duas es, nec homo sed nutu es inter. I can't do this, man. I've been working 12 hours, sorry. Thou art not God, nay art thou man, but neuter mixed of both, as the gloss witnesseth upon the 6th book. But they were bold to take unto themselves the very name of God, and to accept it given of other, according as almost 120 years since there was made for Sixtus IV, when he should first enter into Rome in his dignity papal, a pageant of triumph, and cunningly fixed upon the gate of the city he should enter at, having written upon it this blasphemous verse. So it was basically this verse. Sorry put you through all that other stuff. But anyway, so it's got this Latin here, I think. That's what that is. Anyway, it says, by oracle of thy own voice, the world governs all. And worthily a God on earth, men think and do thee call. So basically, they were declaring themselves to be God on earth and said that they govern the world. So when you think about a world government, this new world order, it's not something that they're creating. It's something that already exists. And that the Pope already, the Pope, the Antichrist, already believes he controls the whole world. You know what? I should probably leave with just one more thing. James Quigley years. This is to help you understand what's going on. Oh, that's him, but I need that verse. Oh, maybe I gotta put Archbishop. Yeah, here we go. This is the verse I'm looking for. Okay, so in 1903, now I want you to think about all these wars and everything that's happened since then, the Federal Reserve, and just like how just what the United States has become since this point. So anyway, he says, within 20 years, this country is going to rule the world, meaning America. Kings and emperors will soon pass away, and the democracy of the United States will take their place. When the United States rules the world, the Catholic Church will rule the world. Nothing can stand against the church. I'd like to see the politician who would try to rule against the church in Chicago. His reign would be short indeed. That's Roman Catholic Bishop James E. Quigley. He said that May 5th, 1903. Now, he said in 20 years, so and by 1923, you had the Federal Reserve, which we pretty much will all acknowledge as an issue right now. We got, because they can just print up money for whatever scheme they want. But besides that, the world wars. See, I think these world wars were orchestrated by them for their gain of power. Because there was a lot of Christians that died in these wars. They got rid of a lot of people they didn't want. And not only that, it's and you know, it's like the bad guys, nothing really happened to them. You know, Hitler, does anyone really think Hitler died in a bunker in Germany, or do you think he escaped over to Argentina? Because I personally think he escaped over to Argentina, just like the FBI files. If you go right to the FBI government's own website, you can find files that where an agent said he thinks he spotted Hitler. And there's a lot of good documentaries, speeches about how the Catholic Church used this Vatican rat line to help these Nazis escape. And so it's like the bad people, they really didn't get punished in these wars. A lot of good people died. You know, it's like I really believe that, you know, this Catholic Church was responsible for creating communism and helping it grow and helping to fund it in Russia. And so what would that communism do? Well, see, it wasn't, you know, people like to blame the Jews, but the people who did it weren't even like really like, you know, it's not like they were Sabbath keeping, Torah believing Jews. They were pretty secular. And it just seems like a lot of that movement was used to kill Christians. And then you got all these wars where they kill Christians. I think there's like something where someone said there was like soldiers, and maybe it wasn't like near Christmas or something, and it's like you had the enemy soldiers, like well, you had the soldiers on both sides of the war singing like either Christmas carols or something, man. Like they, so it's like, so here they are, they're both, they're groups of Bible believing Christians, and they're killing each other. And I think that like one of the places that the bomb got dropped on them, and like Japan, I thought that was like one of the few places that had like a Christian population. I have to go look that up, and I think the bombing of Dresden, and it was also like a Christian place, and if I remember right, it was Protestant, but I don't know. I'm kind of like a little tired trying to go off memory, but I'd be one more thing. James Aiken Wiley. Because this kind of like, oops, I didn't mean to go on Amazon now. So let's see here. Oops, one thing I should have done though was, okay, this book was published in 1878. That's one of the key things I wanted to share first of all. Now let me just, okay, I just want to read one little quick thing. There's more on it, but I'll just read this one little part. The papacy will join itself to every great growing party. It will mix itself up with every popular cause. It will reconcile itself with communism, though not with civilization. So see that? It will reconcile itself with communism. So, I mean, that's part of my belief. Okay, let me go down right here to page 88, and I'll just read this other line. Like the rider who makes a show of tightening the rein, all while that he is secretly applying the spur, Rome will take care that communism does not die out. It must be her battle axe, her war horse. So, wait a minute. I thought the Vatican, I thought Catholics hated communism. See, that's why we had this whole thing where we got to hate Russia, even though they're not really communists no more. But we got to hate Russia. Why did we have to hate Russia? Well, they were the boogeyman after World War II. See, that's why we had to get the Nazis out of Germany to put them in our rocket programs and help and basically incorporate them into our CIA and everything. We had to start working for them because we beat the Nazis. The communists were the next boogeyman. And one thing that helped us do by trying to create them into such a boogeyman, and so scared, communists are everywhere. Okay, well, the Catholic Church made itself out like, oh, we hate communism, even though they were the ones who helped create communism, helped give it a rise secretly. But now they have their little boogeyman, and they got everyone to like start hating it, be scared of it, and it's like, yeah, but Catholics hate communism. Oh, well, hey, this Catholic's running for office. Yeah, that means they're going to be very patriot because we know Catholics hate communism. We're told about it over and over again. We're brainwashed into thinking it. It's like people are forgetting that the Antichrist, is the true threat. And so it's like they started somehow conditioning people to equal Catholicism equals patriotism because Catholics hate communists. And so it kind of like opened up that door to where it's like they were kind of like that alien invasion the communists were. And it's like, oh, we got to join up with the Catholics. And the Protestants got to join up with the Catholics so we can defeat this imminent, scary threat, But I mean, that's why they kept Operation Gladio and things like that going. That was their whole justification. Now they use that to fund groups like Azov Battalion, C-14. That our CIA is doing all that today, all ran by the Roman Catholic Church. You know what? Oh, I wish I could find that one Mother Jones article. I oh man, Wild Bill. See if I can find this real quick, and I'll close this out because this is actually a little interesting. Okay, so this is what I want to find. Okay, on July 1944, as the Second World War raged through Europe, General Wild Bill Donovan was ushered into an ornate chamber in Vatican City for an audience with Pope Pius XII. Donovan bowed his head reverently as the pontiff intoned a ceremonial prayer in Latin and decorated him with the Grand Cross of the Order of St. Sylvester, the oldest and most prestigious of papal knighthoods. This award had been given only to 100 other men in history who, by feat of arms or writings or outstanding deeds, have spread the faith, the Catholic faith, and have safeguarded and championed the church. And so he was the Chief Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, which was the wartime predecessor of the Central Intelligence Agency. So it was, I think, I wonder if sorry, I want to see one thing because I want to see if there was like a point. But anyway, I just basically want to make a point that the Catholics have been running our intelligence service for over a long time. I'm getting tired. Someone mind's starting to wonder, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I just want to give people something to think about. Just remember, for the future that, before you start running and believing any doctrine you hear, I really believe you should check back with the Geneva Bible into those footnotes and just think about, like I said, I really believe the Spirit of God moved those people to put sound doctrine into those footnotes that are in that Bible. And even if you don't believe that, those people were at least very learned men, much more learned men than probably almost anyone we know today. And also, they were willing to risk their life to put those footnotes in there and to help create that Bible. And so they were willing to give their life, risk torture in order to share that with you. And I think that's why you should maybe weigh their opinion a little bit more heavy than your Sunday pastor, your TV pastor, whoever you're listening to. Give that a little bit more weight, because though I don't know if those people in your church today are actually willing to die for what they're telling you. And just, I at least give them that much respect. Like I said, if these churches were all good today, I don't think this world would be where it's at right now. I don't think it's in a very good place. I don't think America's in a good place. I think we strayed. I don't think we've gotten better doctrine today. I think we strayed way far from sound doctrine and sound understanding, and that's why we got a society like we do today in America. And so I just leave it at that. Yeah, well, hey, Truth Freeze, I'm sorry. I see you there. I just kind of want to get this off my kind of like off my chest, like people normally I read the chat room, but sometimes I want to do a live like this. It's just something like I do the live so I can get it out there faster. It's just faster and easier for me. I normally pay attention to the chats, but I just want to get this one thing off my chest about the Antichrist and how I just don't think it's Donald Trump. I just don't. I really think by even saying that, you're giving into futurist doctrine that's not even biblical. See, historicist would be more like what those reformers believed in. It means like they believe the Bible had like a historic unfolding, like it's been I guess like unfolded gradually through history, and so we've done like we're a lot further along, in the 70th week of Daniel. It already happened. It happened 2,000 years ago. We're not waiting for the 70th. We didn't have 69 weeks, and now we're waiting 2,000 years for the 70th week. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, just think about that logically, and think about like what kind of stuff your church is trying to teach you if they're teaching you this. But yeah, I hear. Yeah, I heard about Gonzalo Lira. Yeah, I'll do a video about that sometime. I want to do a deep dive into. He had like a list that he put out, and I'm wondering like what all names were on that list that he said was like under threat. So. But yeah, Schofield was part of the theology lies. I think that he helped. I think he was like a big factor in helping to get a lot of it going. Yeah, he said the 7 names that Lyra put out. Yeah, I do plan on doing a deep dive into that. Wow, Truth Freeze, you wrote a lot. Well, hey, Babylon. Yeah. Yeah, here I just kind of click. Yeah, transgender military. Yeah, the Pope too. One more thing about this Antichrist Pope. Well, all popes are Antichrist. But it was, I think, Pope John the one. I think whatever one's called the Smalling Pope. I know before he became Pope, he was Luciani. He was like Cardinal Luciani, but when he became Pope, he was the one that kind of started pushing for the whole gays should be able to adopt children. Yeah, it's like, so you can thank your Catholic Church for getting a lot of this started. Rhode Island, go to Catholic Rhode Island. It's the most Catholic state in America, 54%. Do you think Catholics care about abortion? If so, why do they have abortion up to birth? Or do they got it past birth now? I know they got it at least up to birth. I thought they might have been one of those ones that could have it after birth, but I'm not sure. But and then you look at New York, heavily Catholic run. Like I said, they were the first place to get rid of the Bible out of public schools. And look at it today. First state to get rid of the Bible out of public schools, and it's probably the last state a Protestant would want to move to today, right? I mean, just look at the destruction that church has done, and I don't see how anyone can say that the Pope's not the Antichrist, especially when you look at all those instruments of torture and everything. It's like, I really don't get it. They're really responsible for darkness, because think about this. If Jesus Christ and the Bible is light, and the Pope's trying to turn out that light by trying to prohibit the printing of the Bible, prohibit it being in schools, isn't that like trying to turn the light off in the world and wanting to rule in darkness? I mean, I don't know how you can get more Antichrist than that. I mean, an anti also means in place of Christ, who tries to put themselves in the place of Christ more than the Pope. Now, I mean, sure, you can say, Trump, but you can actually say that about a lot of people, want to kind of, have that kind of ego and stuff. But the Pope, who's actually put themselves in that place? I mean, the Pope has really put themselves in the place of God. Like, not of like any God, but of the God in the Bible, forgiving sins, um, infallibility doctrines, all that stuff. It's like, who has really put themselves in more of that place? And, when it says the Antichrist is going to sit in the temple, who's the temple? So it's the people of God. It's the Christians. He's trying to set himself in the temple, and then he's trying to claim that he is God. I mean, to me, he fits it perfectly. Man of sin. I mean, yeah, man, he's like leading everybody into it. He's pushing it and peddling it. Changes times and laws. It's like change the Sabbath from Sunday from the seventh day to Sunday the first. Now think about this too. When you see a cross right side up, if I turn a cross upside down, you automatically go, "Oh, that's satanic," right? Because it's the opposite, right? So if the seventh day is the last day of the week, it seems like if the Antichrist wanted to do the opposite, you would make it the first. And it's really weird. It's called Sunday. Like the sun was created on the first day when it was actually created on the fourth day in the Bible. But yet you call the first day the sun. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why they do that. Why do they call this Sunday? Why do they have Sunday as the first day? Because they think the sun is probably the beginning of the creation of all life. That's why they worship it. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Just some things to throw out there. Didn't mean it to go a whole hour. Anyway, thanks, Truth Freeze, for stopping by. Everybody else, hope someone learned something.